Hey Libras, I just pulled some cards for you, and honestly, what came through was so intense I had to sit back and process this for a moment. The energy around you right now is absolutely electric, and there are some major revelations coming your way about someone in your orbit who has not been showing their true colors. So, I shuffled my deck, asking specifically about what Libras need to know about the people around them and the hidden dynamics at play. And wow, the universe really said we need to talk. I pulled 10 cards, and each one is telling a story about deception, hidden agendas, but also your incredible power to see through the illusion. The first card that jumped out at me was the Tower. And Libras, this is not just any tower moment, this is the tower moment that completely shifts your perspective on someone you thought you knew. The Tower is all about those sudden revelations that shake your foundation. And for you, this is coming in the form of discovering someone's true intentions. You know how you always try to see the best in people? Well, the universe is basically saying that your rose-colored glasses are about to come off, and you are going to see someone for who they really are. This person has been presenting themselves as your ally, maybe even your friend, but there is something much darker happening behind the scenes. The Tower energy suggests this revelation is going to be shocking, like genuinely shocking. Not just disappointing, but the kind of truth that makes you question everything you thought you knew about this person. What I find fascinating about the Tower appearing first is that it represents liberation through destruction. Yes, it is going to be unsettling to discover this person's real nature, but Libras, this is actually the universe protecting you. Sometimes we need those dramatic wake-up calls to save us from situations that could have become much worse. The Tower is violent in its energy, but it is also cleansing. It tears down illusions that were keeping you trapped in a dynamic that was not serving your highest good. I keep getting the sense that this person has been slowly manipulating situations around you, maybe subtly turning other people against you, or undermining your confidence in small ways that you brushed off as misunderstandings. The Tower also speaks to me about timing. This revelation is not going to be gradual, it is going to hit like lightning. One moment you are going about your day thinking everything is normal, and the next moment you are going to have absolute clarity about this person's true character. And Libras, as much as this might initially hurt or shock you, I need you to understand that this is divine intervention. The universe loves you too much to let you continue being deceived. Moving into the second card, I pulled Knight of Pentacles, and this is where things get really interesting. The Knight of Pentacles is usually such a steady, reliable card, but in this context, he represents someone who has been playing the long game with you. This is not someone who acts impulsively or makes dramatic moves. No, this person is calculated, patient, methodical in their approach. They have been slowly gaining your trust, slowly positioning themselves closer to you, slowly learning your vulnerabilities and weaknesses. The Knight of Pentacles energy suggests this person appears incredibly reliable and trustworthy on the surface. They might be someone who always seems to have their life together, who presents as stable and dependable. But here is what the cards are showing me about this Knight of Pentacles energy. This person has been studying you, learning your patterns, understanding exactly what you need to hear to feel comfortable and secure. They know that as a Libra, you value harmony and balance, so they have crafted their entire persona around appearing to be exactly the type of person you would naturally gravitate toward. They might be someone who seems to share your values, who agrees with your perspectives, who makes you feel heard and understood, but it has all been carefully constructed. The Knight of Pentacles in this position tells me this person has been building something with their deception. They are not just lying for the sake of it, they have an agenda, a goal they are working toward. This could be related to your resources, your connections, your reputation, or even your romantic life. They have been positioning themselves as indispensable to you so that when they make their move, you will be more likely to go along with it or less likely to see it coming. What really strikes me about this Knight of Pentacles energy is the patience involved. This is not someone who rushed into your life and immediately started causing problems. They have been playing the long game, maybe for months or even longer. They understood that to truly deceive a Libra, they needed to appear balanced, reasonable, and trustworthy over time. They could not just come in with dramatic gestures or obvious manipulation, because your natural Libra intuition would have picked up on that immediately. The third card that came through was Seven of Wands and Libras. This is where your fighting spirit needs to emerge. The Seven of Wands is about standing your ground when you are under attack, about defending your position even when you feel outnumbered or overwhelmed. What the cards are telling me is that once you discover this person's true nature, they are not going to just disappear quietly. They are going to fight to maintain their position in your life, to continue their manipulation, to convince you that what you discovered is not really what it seems. The Seven of Wands suggests that this person might try to gaslight you when you confront them with what you have learned. They might try to make you feel like you are overreacting, like you are being paranoid, like you are seeing things that are not really there. But Libras, this card is your reminder that you know what you know. When that tower moment hits and you see the truth clearly, do not let anyone convince you that your perception is wrong. This Seven of Wands energy also tells me that other people might be drawn into this situation. This person might try to rally mutual friends or family members to their side to make you look like the unreasonable one. They might spread their own version of events to try to control the narrative before you have a chance to share your perspective. The Seven of Wands is telling you that you are going to need to be prepared to stand alone if necessary, to trust your own judgment even if others are not seeing what you are seeing. But here is what I love about the Seven of Wands appearing in your reading. This card represents victory through persistence. Yes, you might feel like you are fighting an uphill battle when you first discover this person's deception and start to push back against it. But the Seven of Wands promises that if you hold your ground, if you refuse to be gaslit or manipulated, you will come out on top. Your truth will prevail, and this person's carefully constructed facade will crumble. The fourth card I pulled was the Sun, and honestly, Libras, this gives me so much hope for you. After all the intensity of the Tower, the calculated deception of the Knight of Pentacles, and the defensive energy of the Seven of Wands, the Sun comes through to remind you that truth always wins in the end. The Sun represents clarity, joy, success, and most importantly, the end of illusion. When the sun shines, everything is illuminated and nothing can remain hidden. The Sun in this position tells me that once you work through the initial shock and challenges of discovering this person's true nature, you are going to experience such incredible relief and freedom. It is like when you have been carrying a heavy backpack all day without realizing it, and then you finally take it off and feel how much lighter you are. This person's deception has been weighing on you energetically, even if you were not consciously aware of it. Your intuitive Libra nature has been picking up on the inconsistencies and the false energy, creating a subtle stress that you might not have been able to identify. The Sun also represents your natural radiance returning. When we are being deceived or manipulated, especially by someone close to us, it dims our inner light. We start to doubt ourselves, to second-guess our instincts, to feel less confident and joyful. But once this deception is exposed and you remove this person's influence from your life, your natural Libra charm and magnetism is going to shine brighter than ever. What I find particularly beautiful about the Sun appearing here is that it suggests this whole experience, as difficult as it might be initially, is ultimately going to make you stronger and more confident in your ability to read people and situations. The Sun represents hard-won wisdom. You are going to come out of this situation with a much clearer understanding of red flags, manipulation tactics, and how to protect your energy from people who do not have good intentions. The Sun also tells me that this revelation about this deceptive person is going to open up space in your life for much more authentic and loving relationships. Sometimes the universe has to remove the fake people to make room for the real ones. The bright, joyful energy of the sun suggests that once you clear this toxic influence, you are going to attract much more positive and genuine connections. The fifth card that came through was Three of Wands, and this is where we start to see your power really emerging. The Three of Wands is about expanded horizons, about seeing opportunities that were not visible before, about having the confidence to pursue bigger and better things. In the context of this reading, the Three of Wands tells me that discovering this person's deception is actually going to catapult you into a much better phase of your life. The Three of Wands suggests that once you remove this person's negative influence, you are going to see opportunities and possibilities that were being blocked or obscured. This person might have been subtly discouraging you from pursuing certain goals, or creating drama that distracted you from focusing on your dreams, or simply taking up so much of your mental and emotional energy that you did not have the bandwidth to think about your bigger picture. What strikes me about the Three of Wands is that it represents looking toward the future with optimism and excitement. This card often appears when someone is about to embark on a new adventure or expansion in their life. For you, Libras, this suggests that releasing this deceptive person is going to free up incredible amounts of energy that you can redirect toward your own growth and success. The Three of Wands also speaks to me about partnership and collaboration, but the right kind of partnership. While you are dealing with the revelation of one person's false intentions, the universe is simultaneously preparing to bring more authentic and supportive people into your orbit. The Three of Wands suggests you are going to find your real tribe, the people who genuinely want to see you succeed, and who will celebrate your victories rather than secretly undermining them. This card also represents patience and long-term thinking, which is perfect Libra energy. You are not someone who makes rash decisions or burns bridges unnecessarily. The Three of Wands suggests that even as you are removing this deceptive person from your life, you are doing it thoughtfully and strategically. You are thinking about the bigger picture, about how to protect yourself while also positioning yourself for future success and happiness. The sixth card I drew was Ace of Cups and Libras. This is making my heart so happy because it represents a completely fresh start in your emotional world. The Ace of Cups is about new beginnings in love, friendship, and emotional fulfillment. It is the universe's way of saying that as one door closes on this deceptive relationship, a much more beautiful door is opening. The Ace of Cups represents pure, authentic emotion. After dealing with someone who has been manipulating and deceiving you, this card promises that you are about to experience what genuine care and affection actually feel like. The contrast is going to be striking. You might not have fully realized how much emotional energy you were putting into maintaining a relationship with someone who was not reciprocating with authenticity. But once you experience real emotional connection, the difference will be unmistakable. This Ace of Cups energy also speaks to me about emotional healing. Discovering that someone you trusted has been deceiving you can create wounds around trust and openness. But the Ace of Cups promises that those wounds are going to heal, and heal beautifully. You are not going to become cynical or closed off. Instead, you are going to become more discerning while still maintaining your natural Libra warmth and openness to love. The Ace of Cups in this position also suggests that this whole experience is going to deepen your emotional intelligence and intuitive abilities. You are going to become much better at reading people's true intentions and energy. Your natural Libra sensitivity is going to be enhanced by the wisdom gained from this experience. You will still be loving and trusting, but you will also be wise. What I love about the Ace of Cups appearing here is that it represents overflow and abundance in the emotional realm. Once you clear out the person who has been draining your emotional resources through deception, you are going to have so much more love and positive energy available to share with people who truly deserve it and will reciprocate authentically. The seventh card that showed up was Five of Wands, And this gives us some insight into the aftermath of your revelation. The Five of Wands represents conflict and competition, but not necessarily in a negative way. This card suggests that once you expose this person's true nature, there might be some temporary chaos or disagreement in your social circle. The Five of Wands tells me that this person is not going to accept being exposed quietly. They might try to create conflict or confusion to deflect attention from their own behavior. They might attempt to turn the situation into a battle of he said, she said, hoping to muddy the waters enough that people are not sure who to believe. This is a common tactic used by manipulative people when their deception is discovered. But here is what the Five of Wands wants you to understand. This conflict is temporary and it is ultimately serving a purpose. Sometimes relationships and social dynamics need to be shaken up for the truth to emerge and for healthier patterns to establish themselves. The people who really know you and value you are going to see through any attempts at manipulation or misdirection. The Five of Wands also represents competition for resources or position. This person might feel threatened by losing their access to you and whatever benefits that relationship was providing them. They might become competitive or try to sabotage other relationships in your life as a way of maintaining some form of control or influence. However, the Five of Wands ultimately represents working through challenges and coming to a better understanding. Once the initial conflict settles, the truth will be clear to everyone involved. The people who matter will support you, and the people who choose to side with deception will reveal themselves as not being worthy of your energy anyway. What I find encouraging about this Five of Wands energy is that it suggests you are not going to be fighting these battles alone. The card shows multiple figures, indicating that there will be others who recognize what is really happening and will stand with you. Your authentic relationships are going to be strengthened by this experience. The 8th card I pulled was Nine of Swords in Libras. I need to address this one carefully because it represents anxiety and mental anguish. But it is important context for understanding your journey through this situation. The Nine of Swords often appears when someone is losing sleep over a problem, when they are stuck in cycles of worry and worst-case scenario thinking. The Nine of Swords in this position tells me that you might already be sensing that something is not right with this person, even if you have not been able to put your finger on exactly what it is. Your subconscious might be picking up on inconsistencies in their behavior or energy that your conscious mind has been rationalizing away. This could be causing some underlying anxiety or restlessness that you have not been able to fully explain. This card also suggests that when the full truth about this person's deception is revealed, it might initially cause you some sleepless nights and mental turmoil. It is completely natural to feel anxious when you discover that someone you trusted has been lying to you. Your mind might race with questions about what was real, what was fake, how long it has been going on, what their true motivations are. But here is what the Nine of Swords wants you to remember. These anxious thoughts are not reality. They are just your mind trying to process a shocking revelation. The card reminds us that most of our worst fears never actually come to pass. Yes, discovering this deception will be upsetting, but you are stronger and more resilient than you realize. The Nine of Swords also speaks to me about guilt and self-blame, and Libras. I need you to hear this clearly. When you discover this person's true nature, you might be tempted to blame yourself for not seeing it sooner, for trusting them, for being deceived. But this is not your fault. Manipulative people are skilled at deception. They study their targets and craft their approach specifically to exploit natural human desires for connection and trust. The appearance of the Nine of Swords ultimately represents the dark night before the dawn. Yes, there will be some difficult moments of processing and healing, but this card appears before the star and the sun in the tarot sequence, reminding us that hope and joy always follow periods of difficulty. Moving into the 9th card, I drew the Fool, and this is absolutely perfect because it represents new beginnings, fresh starts, and the courage to step into the unknown. After everything you have been through with this deceptive person, the Fool tells me you are going to have the opportunity to completely reinvent yourself and your social circle. The Fool represents innocence, but not naivety. It is the innocence of someone who has learned from their experiences, but refuses to become cynical or closed off to new possibilities. This card suggests that despite being deceived by this person, you are not going to let that experience harden your heart or make you distrustful of everyone. What I love about the Fool appearing in this position is that it represents unlimited potential. Once you remove this toxic person from your life, it is like clearing weeds from a garden. Suddenly, there is room for beautiful new growth. The Fool suggests you are going to approach new relationships and opportunities with fresh eyes and renewed optimism. The Fool also represents taking a leap of faith, and I think this might relate to some decisions you will need to make about how to handle the situation once you discover this person's true nature. The Fool encourages you to trust your instincts and take bold action, even if you cannot see exactly how everything will work out. This card also speaks to me about authenticity. The Fool is completely genuine and unguarded. After dealing with someone who was presenting a false facade, you are going to be drawn to authentic, genuine people who show up as their real selves. The Fool energy suggests you will become a magnet for other authentic souls who appreciate and celebrate your genuine nature. The Fool appearing here also tells me that this whole experience, challenging as it has been, is actually preparing you for an amazing new chapter in your life. Sometimes we need to experience what we do not want in order to gain clarity about what we do want. This deceptive person has inadvertently taught you valuable lessons about boundaries, red flags, and the difference between authentic and manipulative behavior. The 10th and final card I pulled was the Devil and Libras. This is such a powerful card to end on because it represents breaking free from bondage, illusion, and toxic patterns. The Devil card often appears when someone has been trapped in a situation that seemed impossible to escape, but it also represents the moment of recognition that leads to liberation. The Devil in this context represents the illusion of powerlessness that manipulative people create around their victims. This person in your life has probably made you feel like you need them, like you would be worse off without them, like you owe them something. They might have created a dynamic where you feel guilty for questioning their behavior or setting boundaries with them. But the Devil card is ultimately about recognizing that these chains are largely in our minds. The figures in the traditional Devil card are chained, but the chains are loose enough that they could remove them if they chose to. This represents how we sometimes stay in toxic situations because we believe we have no choice, when in reality, we have more power than we realize. The Devil appearing as your final card tells me that this entire experience with this deceptive person has been serving a higher purpose. It has been forcing you to confront patterns in your life where you might give away your power too easily, where you might prioritize keeping peace over protecting your own interests, where you might ignore red flags because you want to believe the best about people. This card represents a complete transformation in your understanding of healthy versus unhealthy relationship dynamics. You are going to emerge from this situation with such clear boundaries and such strong intuition about people's true motivations. The Devil energy, once transcended, becomes incredible personal power and wisdom. The Devil also speaks to me about material or practical entanglement. This person might have created situations where you feel practically dependent on them or where extracting yourself seems complicated. But the Devil reminds you that these practical concerns are temporary and manageable. Your freedom and peace of mind are worth more than any temporary inconvenience. What strikes me most about ending with the Devil is that this card represents the complete death of illusion. Once you see through this person's deception and free yourself from their influence, you are never going to be susceptible to that particular type of manipulation again. You will have developed an immunity to false charm and calculated manipulation. So let me bring this all together for you, Libras. The cards are telling a story about a major revelation coming your way regarding someone who has been systematically deceiving you. This person has been patient and calculated in their approach, presenting themselves as trustworthy while secretly working their own agenda. The discovery of their true nature is going to be shocking, but ultimately liberating. You are going to face some temporary conflict and challenges as you extract yourself from this situation, but you have the strength and wisdom to handle it beautifully. This entire experience is actually a gift from the universe, preparing you for much more authentic and fulfilling relationships. The transformation you are about to undergo is profound. You are shedding illusions, developing stronger boundaries, and stepping into a new level of personal power and discernment. The person you become after working through this situation is going to be so much wiser, stronger, and more magnetic than before.